There's a specific kind of quiet that settles into an apartment when you're expecting people who aren't coming. It's not a peaceful quiet, not the serene silence of solitude. It's a hollow quiet, a vacuum that pulls at the air, growing heavier with each passing minute. It's an expectant silence that slowly, inexorably sours, like milk left out on the counter. Tonight, on the evening of my 34th birthday, the silence in my apartment is a physical presence. It's the loudest thing I've ever heard. I've been cooking for hours, since I got home from work, really. My small kitchen is a testament to my role, the air thick with the aromas of what I have spent a lifetime convincing myself is love. There's a coq au vin simmering on the back burner, the rich, earthy scent of wine, bacon, and mushrooms filling the air. That's for my father, Richard. I remember making it for him once years ago, and he'd patted my hand and said, "Now, this is a meal for a king, Ellie." And that single sentence of praise had been enough to fuel me for months. A large fillet of salmon with a dill and lemon crust, perfectly flaky, is resting on a cooling rack. That's for my sister, Charlotte. She's been obsessed with omega-3 South ever since she read an article in some glossy magazine. For her husband, Mark, a veritable mountain of garlic mashed potatoes sits in a warm bowl because he always complains, with a performative wink, that my mother, Brenda, is too skimpy with the garlic. It's his little joke, one that subtly criticizes my mother while positioning him as an authority on flavor. And my mother gets the simplest dish of all, a vibrant, crisp salad of arugula and shaved parmesan with a homemade lemon vinaigrette. She's perpetually on a diet, a lifelong, joyless project that never seems to change. Anything but provides her with a constant topic of conversation and a convenient excuse to refuse any food made with too much visible effort. I made everyone's favorite. That's my job. I'm Eleanor, the planner, the chef, the coordinator, the giver, the one who remembers the birthdays, the anniversaries, the dietary restrictions, the petty preferences. I am the emotional and logistical load-bearing wall of the Holloway family, the one who quietly absorbs all the pressure and absorbs all the weight so the rest of the pressure structure can remain blissfully, ignorantly intact. Dinner was at 6. I sent the invitation a month ago. A cheerful group text. Birthday dinner at my place. Tuesday, the 14th, at 6 p.m. Let me feed you. I got a string of thumbs-up emojis in reply within the hour. That, in our family, is a binding contract. I glance at the digital clock on the oven. 6 o'clock. Its green numbers glare at me. My table is set for 5. With the good plates I only use for company, and the linen napkins I spent 20 minutes ironing last night. A small, almost tragically king chocolate cake I bought for myself sits on the counter. Its single, unlit candle standing like a lonely soldier. I pour myself a generous glass of Cabernet, the wine I bought specifically because my father likes it, and I wait. The gentle sizzle from the pan dies down. The hum of the refrigerator seems to grow in volume, filling the silence. I walk around the apartment, fluffing pillows that don't need fluffing, straightening picture frames that are already straight. 6:15. It's fine. I tell myself Charlotte is probably stuck in crosstown traffic. Mark is notoriously bad with time, a trait he finds charmingly roguish in himself. Maybe they're picking up Mum and Dad on the way. A spontaneous, thoughtful gesture. I cling to that scenario for a few minutes, picturing them all in the car together, laughing, on their way to me. The image feels thin, transparent. 6:30. The coq au vin has gone from a gentle simmer to a tired, defeated sigh. The skin on the salmon, which was so perfectly crisp, is now starting to look dull and soft. The quiet in the apartment is no longer expectant. It's mocking me now. It's a smug, knowing silence. I walk to the window and look down at the empty street, as if my sheer force of will can conjure their car into existence. Nothing, just a lone taxi speeding past. 6:45. This is the moment. The breaking point, I realize, isn't a loud crash or a dramatic explosion. It's a quiet, cold, internal click. It's the sound of a key turning in a lock you didn't even know was there. It's the precise moment you stop making excuses for people and start accepting the evidence of their actions. They are not coming. The thought doesn't even bring tears. It brings a strange, unnerving, crystalline clarity. I sit down at my perfectly set table for 5, alone. I stare at the 4 empty chairs, each one a monument to my own foolish, relentless, unreciprocated hope. For years I thought my role was to set the table. Now I see my role was simply to be the table, something for them to put their needs upon. Sturdy and silent and always there. My phone buzzes, startling me. 7:12 p.m. The first message slides onto the screen. It's from Charlotte. Oh my God. Ellie, so sorry. I totally spaced on tonight. It's been a crazy day. Maya had a last-minute soccer thing we just couldn't get out of. We'll do a rain check super soon. HPDXO. Maya is my niece. I adore her. Her last-minute soccer things are always, without fail, on Saturdays. My birthday is a Tuesday. The lie is so lazy it's a form of disrespect all its own. A minute later, another buzz. A text from my mother. Dearest Eleanor, hoping you had a lovely day. Your father wasn't feeling up to going out tonight. His back is acting up again. We'll talk tomorrow. Love you. My father, whose back is miraculously fine every Wednesday morning for his 8 a.m. golf game. The lies aren't even designed to be believed. They are designed to be accepted. They are scripts handed to me with the expectation that I will play my part and let the scene end. But tonight, I am refusing my cue. The thought that settles, cold and heavy as lead, in the pit of my stomach is this: they didn't forget. Forgetting is passive. This was an active choice. They remembered, and they chose something else. They chose themselves. I don't rage. I don't scream. I don't sweep the plates from the table. The part of me that would have cried, that would have felt the familiar, hot sting of rejection, seems to have cauterized itself shut. Instead, I do something far more terrifying. I eat. I sit at my empty birthday table, and I methodically serve myself a small portion of every single dish. I taste the love and the hours of effort I poured into them. I taste the wine in the cock. Oh, then, the fresh dill on the salmon, the sharp bite of the garlic in the potatoes. And with each bite, I am tasting something else. Years of one-sided giving, of being the ever-reliable, ever-forgiving emotional and financial backstop for my entire family. I am consuming my own naivete, and it tastes like ashes. After I've cleared my own plate, I don't bother with the others. I leave the food to grow cold on the stove, a silent, fragrant testament to the evening's truth. I walk over to my laptop, sitting on the small desk in the corner. I open it, and the screen bathes my face in a pale, clinical light. There is no hesitation. There is no second-guessing. I navigate to my online banking portal. I log in, my fingers moving with a speed and precision born of long practice, and I pull up the account that has, without my full awareness, come to define my adult life. The official name on the account is the Holloway Family Relief Fund, a ridiculous, grandiose name for what it has become. I set it up 8 years ago, when my freelance writing career finally stabilized and I had a steady income. It was supposed to be a safety net. I remember the conversation with my mother clearly. "It's a wonderful idea, Ellie," she'd said, her voice filled with admiration. "Just a little something for real emergencies. You know, if your father's car breaks down, or if Charlotte needs help with a medical bill for little Maya, It sounded so responsible, so generous. I felt proud. The first withdrawal was legitimate. Dad's transmission failed. It was $1,800. I was happy to help. But then, a few months later, Charlotte needed $500 for a dental emergency that turned out to be teeth whitening. Then Mark needed $2,000 for a sure-thing investment opportunity that vanished without a trace. It was a slow, insidious creep. Over the years, the relief fund had morphed. It had become their primary bank account, and I was its silent, ever-replenishing benefactor. It funded their vacations, their shopping sprees, their home renovations, their general, chronic inability to live within their own means. My name is on the account as the primary holder. Their names, Brenda Holloway, Richard Holloway, Charlotte Miller, Mark Miller, all listed as authorized users, with full, unchecked withdrawal privileges. An arrangement I'd agreed to in a moment of familial duty, an arrangement they had come to see as their divine right. My hand is as steady as a surgeon's as I move the cursor. There is no anger shaking my fingers. There is only the quiet hum of absolute, ice-cold certainty. I navigate to the account settings. Manage authorized users. The list of their names appears on the screen. Click. Brenda Holloway. The woman who taught me that generosity was the highest virtue, but who modeled that the virtue only applied when the generosity flowed from me to her. Remove authorized user. A small pop-up appears. A final digital checkpoint. Are you sure? You want to remove this user's access? I click confirm. Click Richard Holloway. The king who loved my coco vin. The man who taught me that a daughter's duty was to make her father proud, and who had quietly redefined pride as profit. Remove authorized user. Confirm. Click Charlotte Miller, my sister. The person I once shared secrets and dreams with in the dark of our childhood bedroom, who now only shared invoices and emergencies. Remove authorized user. Confirm. Click. Mark Miller, the brother-in-law who treated my bank account like a complimentary open bar. Remove authorized user. Confirm. In less than 30 seconds, it's done. The fund, my fund, now has only one name attached to it. Eleanor Holloway. The Queen, I think with a grim smile, is now the sole occupant of the castle. Then, I open my email client. I compose a new message, the recipient's autofilling from my frequent contacts list. Mom, Dad, Charlotte, Mark. The subject line is simple, devoid of emotion, financial update. The body of the email is even simpler. Effective immediately. I am pausing all contributions to and authorizations from the family fund while I reassess my financial future. This decision is final, and I will not be discussing it further at this time. Eleanor, I read it over once. It's perfect. It's a closed door, a locked gate. I hit send. The subtle whoosh sound of the sent email is the loudest, most powerful sound I have heard all night. It's the sound of a chain breaking, a boundary being drawn in indelible ink. The giver has finally, blessedly, stopped giving. Sleep is a distant country I have no visa for. I lie in the dark, my body rigid, my ears attuned to the silence, waiting for the fallout. It begins at 9:57 p.m. My phone, which had been so insultingly silent all evening, begins to light up, a frantic beacon in the darkness. It's Charlotte. The calls come one after another, aggressive and demanding. I don't answer. I just watch her name flash on the screen. It's not a call for connection. It's a summons. After the 6th consecutive call goes to voicemail, I find the strength to reach over and switch the phone to silent mode. But even then, I can see the screen lighting up from the corner of my eye, again and again. A silent, strobing, digital tantrum. I wasn't naive. I knew there would be a reaction. But what form would it take? A call of concern? "Ellie, we got your email. Is everything okay? An apology? We are so sorry about tonight." Of course not. My email wasn't a cry for help to them. It was a declaration of war. I hadn't just paused their funding, I had questioned their divine right to it. I had committed the ultimate sin. I had reminded them that the money was mine, the true turning point. The moment that vaporizes any lingering shred of doubt comes just after midnight. As my phone screen lights up with what must be the 20th missed call from my sister, a different notification slides down from the top of the screen. It's an email from my bank. The subject line stark and automated. "Transaction alert. Declined." My blood runs cold. It feels like ice water flooding my veins. With a trembling hand, I tap the notification. The message is simple, clinical, and utterly devastating. A point-of-sale withdrawal attempt of $3,200. By authorized user Brenda Holloway from your Holloway Family Relief. Fund was declined at 12:07 a.m. due to a recent change in user authorization. $3,200. At 7 minutes past midnight on a Tuesday, my mother, not for an emergency, not for medicine, not for a sudden, catastrophic need. I know her patterns. This was the final payment for a Caribbean cruise she'd been talking about. This was a deposit on a new leather sofa. This was for something she saw on a late-night shopping channel. Something she decided in a moment of desire that she deserved. And there it is. The ugliest, most brutal truth laid bare in the sterile, emotionless language of a bank notification. I am not their daughter. I am not their sister. I am a utility. I am their ATM. I am their secret benefactor. Their walking, breathing financial plan. My love, my support, my presence, it was all secondary. A pleasant but non-essential bonus. My true value, my primary function in the complex machinery of this family, was my ability and willingness to fund their lives. My birthday wasn't forgotten. It was irrelevant in the face of their own wants. My existence was only critical when the money stopped flowing. The memories come flooding back then, a toxic high-speed montage of past transactions. Each one a small death of my own dignity. I see Charlotte, 5 years ago, calling me in hysterical tears from the side of the road. She'd crashed her car. "Ellie, I don't know what to do. The insurance won't cover all of it. It's $1,500. I'll pay you back, I swear." I'd sent the money instantly, my heart aching for her. I only found out a week later, from a stray comment by Mark, that she'd crashed it because she was texting while driving. There was no thank you. There was certainly no paying me back. The crisis passed, and my contribution was forgotten. I see Mark coming to me, hat in hand, his voice a low, conspiratorial whisper. "Ellie, you're smart with money. I've got this can't-miss stock tip, a friend of a friend. I just need $5,000 for a week. I'll double it. We'll both make a killing." The stock was a dud. The money vanished. When I delicately asked about it a month later, he'd laughed it off. That's the market, kiddo. Win some, lose some. Except he had lost my money, not his. I see my father. His annual request for a few $1,000s for his workshop supplies. Expensive. German-engineered tools that mostly gathered dust in the garage. Trophies of a hobby he enjoyed the idea of more than the practice. I see my mother, with her constant, vague emergencies that always seemed to coincide with the 70% off sale at her favorite department store. And with every transaction, big or small, there was the implicit, unspoken contract. I would give, and they would take. They would never ask about my own struggles, my own deadlines, my own fears. They just assumed the well of my resources, and my goodwill would never run dry. Tonight, I didn't just turn off the tap. I dynamited the well, and they are only just now realizing how profoundly, desperately thirsty they are. The next morning, the storm breaks in full force. It's no longer a quiet, strobing light in the dark. It's a full-scale assault. I wake up not to an alarm, but to a battlefield of notifications. 37 texts, 14 missed calls, 6 new emails, their subject lines screaming with urgency. I had expected anger. I had not been prepared for the sheer, multifaceted ugliness of their coordinated attack. It's a masterclass in emotional terrorism. From Charlotte, there is pure, undiluted rage, typed in all caps. What the hell is wrong with you, Eleanor? Do you have any idea what you've done? You humiliated Mom. She was at the travel agency. You are the most unbelievably selfish person I have ever known. From my father, the silent treatment, which is somehow more damning, punctuated by a single, perfectly crafted, wounded-sounding text. Your mother and I are deeply hurt. I don't know what we could have possibly done to deserve this from you. And from my mother, the tactical guilt. Oh, the guilt. It's a weapon she has honed to a razor's edge over decades. A long, rambling email detailing her sacrifices as a mother, her sleepless nights worrying about me, her deep, profound disappointment in my sudden and cruel behavior. Not a single word acknowledging the attempted $3,200 withdrawal. In her narrative, her pain is the only pain that exists. I read them all, one by one, feeling a strange sense of detachment, like a scientist observing specimens under a microscope. I don't engage. I don't respond to the bait. Instead, I draft a new email, one for each of them individually. It is cold, clear, and final. My previous email was not the opening of a negotiation. It was a statement of fact. For my entire adult life, I have served as the de facto financial plan for this family. That role is now terminated. My resources are my own. This decision is not up for discussion or negotiation. Further attempts to harass me on this matter will be ignored. Sending it feels like launching a second, more powerful missile into their camp. The response is instantaneous and nuclear. The texts become more vicious, the calls more frequent. They are no longer trying to understand. They are trying to break me, to bully me back into my designated role. Late that afternoon, there's a frantic, angry pounding on my apartment door. I look through the peephole. It's Charlotte, her face blotchy and contorted with fury. Eleanor, I know you're in there. Open this door right now. You can't just do this and hide. We need to talk about this, she yells, her voice echoing in the sterile quiet of the hallway. I don't move. I don't breathe. I just stand there, my back pressed against the cool wood of the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. The door feels like a shield. It is the physical manifestation of my new boundary, and I will not open it. I listen as she bangs and yells for what feels like an eternity, but is probably 10 solid minutes. Finally, with a frustrated scream, she gives up. Her angry footsteps recede down the hall. When the direct assault fails, they escalate to their final, most insidious weapons. An hour later, a text from Charlotte. It's a picture of my niece, Maya, her face artfully arranged to look sad and confused. The caption reads, Maya keeps asking why her favorite aunt is being so mean and hurting her grandma. I don't know what to tell her. A pang of something love for my niece. Disgust at my sister shoots through me, using her own child as a weapon. It's a new low, even for her. And then, the checkmate move. The one they've saved for last. A voicemail from my mother, her voice trembling with expertly false tears. Eleanor, I don't want to worry you, but with all this terrible stress, your father's blood pressure is very high. We had to call the doctor. I just pray that nothing happens to him. That kind of thing. It would be on your conscience forever. They are trying to light me on fire with their guilt. They are dousing me in the gasoline of obligation and fear. But they don't realize I am no longer flammable. The part of me that was vulnerable to their fire, the part that would have crumbled under this assault just 2 weeks ago, was burned away at that lonely birthday dinner. I am something new now, something they don't recognize, something they can no longer control. After 2 weeks of relentless, multi-pronged assault, they go quiet. It's an eerie, unsettling silence, the calm in the eye of the hurricane. I use the time to breathe, to reclaim my own mental and emotional space, to slowly, carefully begin to build a life that isn't predicated on their constant, buzzing needs. I start working on the novel I've been putting off for years, the one they always called my little hobby. I reconnect with old friends, the ones I'd let drift away because I was always too busy managing my family's latest crisis. I am tentatively, cautiously, rediscovering who Eleanor Holloway is when she isn't playing the role of the family savior. One afternoon, a message pops up on my social media from a name I haven't seen in years. Chloe Holloway, my cousin, the daughter of my father's estranged brother. Chloe was informally, but decisively, cast out of the family years ago for being too loud, too inquisitive, too difficult, which was family code for being someone who refused to play their games and called them on their bullshit. Her message is simple and direct. Heard through the grapevine, there was a seismic event in the Holloway kingdom. If you ever want to compare notes with a fellow survivor, coffee's on me. We meet at a small, independent coffee shop, halfway between our apartments. It's neutral ground, a place with no history. Chloe is vibrant and witty, with eyes that are sharp with an intelligence the rest of my family always found threatening. For an hour, we talk. I tell her everything, the words pouring out of me in a torrent of pent-up frustration and dawning clarity. The birthday dinner, the bank account, the declined transaction, the barrage of manipulation, the weaponization of my niece, the threats about my father's health. She listens, nodding, a look of grim, unsurprised recognition on her face. "Ellie," she says, after I've finally run out of steam, her voice filled with a genuine empathy that feels like a bomb on a raw wound. "First of all, I am so sorry you went through that. But honestly, I'm not surprised. And I think what you've found is just the tip of the iceberg." That's when she reaches into her tote bag and pulls out a thin manila folder. My heart gives a sudden, hard thud. "My dad and yours had a nasty falling out over their parents' estate. About a decade ago," she explains, her voice dropping lower, more serious. "It was messy. Lawyers got involved. As part of the discovery process, my dad's lawyer got access to some of your dad's financial records from that period. Most of it was boring, standard stuff, but there was one thing my dad found that he could never figure out." She opens the folder. Inside are photocopies of old bank statements. They look official, professional. She slides one across the table toward me. "This is a statement of account. It's from Sterling National Bank, and it's in your name." I stare at the paper. My hands feel cold and distant. The name on the account is Eleanor B. Holloway. The address is my parents' address, on Elm Street, and the balance. My breath catches in my throat. The statement is dated 8 years ago, and the balance at that time was $28,451. This isn't my account," I whisper, my voice a strangled sound. "I've never banked with Sterling National. My middle initial isn't B, I know," Chloe says softly, her eyes full of pity. "My dad figured it was just some weird error. But look at the activity." She points a finger at the columns of numbers. "There are monthly deposits, all from the same publishing clearinghouse your writing gigs, automatically transferred from your main account. But look at the withdrawals. A wire transfer of $7,000 to a Caribbean travel agency. A cashier's check for $12,000 to a luxury car dealership. All signed with a sloppy but passable forgery of your signature. She slides another paper across the table. It's a copy of a loan application for my parents' mortgage refinance from 9 years ago, and listed under my father's assets as a supporting document is a statement from this fraudulent account positioning me as a cosigner, using my good credit and these fictional savings to secure their loan. They didn't just use my money. They used my name, my identity. The pieces click into place with a horrifying, sickening finality. This wasn't just about them being needy and entitled and using me as an ATM. This was a calculated, long-term, criminal conspiracy. They hadn't just been taking the money I willingly, if foolishly, offered. They had been systematically stealing from me for nearly a decade, laundering my own income through a secret account under my name, using my identity as collateral to enrich themselves and secure their own financial future. The Holloway Family Relief Fund wasn't the real scheme. It was the brilliant, diabolical smokescreen. A clever piece of misdirection to make me feel like I was in control, a generous benefactor, while the real, substantial theft was happening completely in the shadows. This revelation doesn't bring rage. It brings a chilling, profound calm, the kind of calm that comes when every last shred of doubt, every wisp of sentimentality, every lingering thread of hope for reconciliation is utterly incinerated in an instant of terrible truth. This isn't a family drama anymore. It's a crime scene. And I am not just the victim. I am the primary witness. And I have the evidence right here in my hands. In the days following my meeting with Chloe, I feel a strange and unfamiliar sense of power. The knowledge of their deeper crime is not a burden. It's a shield. It's a weapon. The question is how to wield it. A part of me, the old Eleanor, the one who craved their approval, wants a confrontation. A dramatic, tear-filled showdown in my mother's living room. I imagine myself laying the evidence on the coffee table, the fraudulent bank statements, the forged signatures, and watching their carefully constructed world crumble into dust before my eyes. But the new Eleanor, the one forged in the fire of this ultimate betrayal, knows that a public battle would only give them a stage to play their favorite roles. The victims. They would twist the narrative. They would weep and deny. They would accuse me of being vengeful, of being mentally unstable, of trying to destroy the family out of spite. They would relish the drama. They would feed on it. So I choose a different path, a quieter, colder, and infinitely more effective one. My first step is to hire a lawyer, not for a splashy lawsuit, but for a single, specific, and surgical task. He drafts a formal cessation letter, a legally binding document ordering every member of my family to stop all forms of contact with me, immediately phone calls, texts, emails, and in-person visits. It's a dry, technical document that turns their emotional harassment into a prosecutable offense. I send a copy to each of them via certified mail, requiring a signature upon receipt. The paper trail is everything then. I take the folder Chloe gave me. I spend an entire afternoon at a copy shop, scanning every single page. The fraudulent bank statements, the forged signatures, the loan application where they used my stolen identity as collateral. I compile it all into a neat, organized, and damning digital file. I write a short, anonymous cover letter, detailing the facts of the case without a shred of emotion. It is a clinical report of a crime. Then, I go to the website for the Internal Revenue Service. I find the portal for Form 3.949, our information referral, reporting suspected tax fraud, anonymously. I methodically upload the entire file. The details of the fraudulent account, the evidence of years of undeclared income, the criminal use of my social security number to secure loans. I am not reporting a family squabble to the authorities. I am reporting a multi-year tax evasion, an identity theft scheme to the one government agency that no one, not even my master manipulator mother, wants to fight. I hit submit. There is no dramatic explosion. There is no satisfying cinematic confrontation. Just a quiet click. A confirmation page with a reference number. It's the most powerful thing I've ever done. I don't need to watch them burn. I've simply provided the kindling, the matches, and a map to the federal government. I am walking away, trusting the inexorable, bureaucratic system to do the rest. I have taken my name, my money, and my power back, not with a scream, but with a quiet, decisive, and irreversible click of a mouse. 6 months later, the silence from my family is no longer eerie, it's peaceful. It's the clean, quiet air of a space that has been thoroughly fumigated. The cease and desist letter worked like a charm. But I hear things through Chloe, who still gets the occasional, frantic call from a distant aunt. The IRS audit was, apparently, swift and brutal. Mark and Charlotte, who had been living in a house they couldn't afford, in a neighborhood they couldn't afford, had to sell it at a loss to pay the first round of penalties. My father had to sell his precious boat, the one he polished more than he ever used. They are facing years of back taxes, interest, and fraud penalties. Their carefully constructed world, funded by my labor and my stolen identity, has imploded under its own weight. They have tried to break the silence. A few desperate, pathetic voicemails have slipped through my call screening from blocked numbers. Charlotte, crying, her voice thick with rage and self-pity, blaming me for ruining her life. My mother, leaving a message that wasn't even words. Just heavy, wheezing sobs, a performance of despair intended to shatter my resolve. I delete them without listening to the end. They are ghosts from another life. Their problems are no longer mine to solve. Their pain is no longer my responsibility to absorb. My life, on the other hand, has bloomed in the vast open space they used to occupy. I finished my novel. My agent, who had been patiently waiting for years, called me 2 weeks ago, screaming with excitement. We have a 2-book deal with a major publisher. The peace and quiet, the freedom from the constant, low-grade anxiety of their demands, unlocked a torrent of creativity I never knew I possessed. I gave a TEDx talk at a local conference. The topic was the tyranny of unilateral obligation and the liberating power of the no. It went unexpectedly viral. Emails and messages poured in from strangers all over the world, people who recognized their own stories in mine. I had spent my life feeling utterly alone in my dynamic, only to discover I was part of a silent, global tribe. I have found my voice. I have found my purpose, and I am building a new life, brick by brick. A life that belongs completely and joyfully to me. I still have a relationship with my niece, Maya, a real one, but it's on my terms, in a safe container. I see her at Chloe's house, or I take her out for ice cream or to the bookstore. Just the two of us. I am her aunt. I am not a conduit to her mother. I am teaching her, through my actions, what a healthy, respectful relationship looks like. I am giving her a gift I never had, the knowledge that love does not require self-annihilation. It does not require you to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. My family now is a small, carefully chosen, fiercely loyal group. Chloe is the sister I always deserved, the one who tells me the truth, even when it's hard. My old friend Ben, who checked on me every single day during the worst of the storm, has shown me what unconditional, platonic love actually feels like. We had dinner last night, the three of us, at a noisy Italian restaurant. We laughed until we cried, There was no tension, no performance, no unspoken script. It was easy. It was real. We are a family built not on obligation or blood or a shared last name, but on a foundation of mutual respect, honesty, and genuine care. I look back at the woman who cooked that lonely birthday feast a year ago, the one who so desperately needed her family's approval, and I feel a profound sense of compassion for her. She thought her value was in what she could give to others. She thought love was something you had to earn, over and over again. In a ceaseless audition for a part she was never going to be permanently cast in. What I've learned, in the quiet months since the storm, is that you don't lose a family like that. You are released from it. I didn't lose my mother, my father, my sister. I lost their version of me, the one-dimensional, endlessly renewable resource they had created to serve their needs. I lost the character of the giver, and in losing her, I finally found my real self. My 35th birthday is next month. I've booked a solo trip to a small village on the coast of Portugal. I'll spend it walking on the beach, eating fresh seafood, and working on my second novel. Dinner will be whenever I want it to be, and the only person I have to please for the rest of my life is me. And that is a freedom more precious than anything they ever took.